So moving on to our game one for our recent league, we're on the draw, and we're going to keep this hand. We probably want to try to stick a turn one Jace, and I think we can bluff having like a Flusterstorm backup. Just by having a land or a blue mana open. We've got a misstep for a Reb, so the only thing we're not going to beat is Force. So our opponent's on Library, which is probably good for us because our turn one play is going to push him into actually making an action. And Academy makes this even better for us. So I think we made a small mistake there where I should have actually tapped the Jet for mana, and that way we can hold up what looks like mana drain mana. Instead we just have a representative Flusterstorm. Fortunately our opponent's looking like they're pretty all in on the Library, and I think from where we are now we'd much rather have the Jace. The Jace Library is an amazing card in a long game. Jace is better. And we're going to put back... I think we could put back like maybe Land a Braid and cast a Ponder for a shuffle. And I guess we're going to take that Strip Mine. We might not want it next turn. But we're definitely going to want it. So what this does for us is it gives our... it's going to put us even further ahead than we were. So Jace was already putting us a long way ahead in the sense that we draw, you know, an extra however many cards a turn. Okay, so we're getting Ancient Grudged. We're fine with this. So as I was saying, you know, with the Jace, we're basically seeing 4 cards a turn. Our opponent's seeing 2. The Strip Mine helps make sure that he only sees 1. But I don't think we can afford to Strip Mine just yet. So we're going to put back something like, I think, Island and a Fetch. And play out I think retrospectively maybe we should have played out a Fetch land there. The Strip Mine isn't really doing anything at the moment. And I think given the Jace on board, I think we're happy to keep fetching away extra lands because we're going to draw them regardless. So we can just chuck back something like Sea and Island. The hard part here being that we're not holding up the mana drain when we really want to be. And this is where we're getting punished for playing out the Strip Mine over the over the fetch land a little earlier. So I think we're happy to run out the deck and we're happy to have it forced. So we can't Time Walk this turn. So what can we do? I think here we put back Island Sea or Island Sol Ring. It doesn't matter too much. Island's going to be the second one down. We're already... Our mana base is already great. Maybe we put Time Walk on top, just on the off chance that he has a Thoughtseize. I think that's the correct play. As it stands right now, we're not too stressed regardless. So I guess we put back Island will here. We're not shuffling anything away, so I think we're okay with that. And we're going to play Soul Ring. Soul Ring will let us cast Time Walk. Okay, we're fine with having that misstepped. We might consider fighting over the Time Walk. Especially if our opponent forces it. If he casts... This looks like a Dig Through Time, so I think we're 100% in on forcing Dig Through Time. We're going to pitch Mana Drain. So the reason to pitch Drain there is in case he's got a Reb, which he's representing, so we can misstep the Reb. And we're just going to draw up a million cards next turn anyway, and possibly cast Yawgmoth's Will. So that's game one to us. It looks like we're probably playing against one of two decks, the most likely being Oath, with the other alternative being the recent Matt Sperling top eight list from Eternal Weekend, with young Pyromancers and like a million Dax and Spell Pierces, and quite a different build of Pyromancer deck. It looks really good for anybody that's curious. We've hedged here on the side of this being a Oath deck, though, so you can see we've brought in the cages. As with most blue decks, we brought in our Mindbreak traps, and we've just trimmed some numbers. Blightsteel being bad against Dak, Abrade being bad against Oath specifically, although very good against Pyro. You can see we don't have the Deluge in. So this is a big hedge in the blind. So we're just going to have to hope that we get it right. So we're going to keep this. This hand is... It's fine. It has missteps. It has interaction. I think turn one, we're probably holding up the Volcanic Island rather than casting a Preordain. We're getting hit with the Pyromancer. So we don't actually have any answers for Pyromancer here. Our only answer for Pyromancer is to manage to go infinite, so to get to assemble Vault Key. So we've got Time Vault. So I think we can bottom cage, take the Time Vault. Playing out the Mox is dangerous, but probably necessary. Actually, maybe it's not necessary. So once again, it's just letting us represent a red blast that we don't have. So I think we should have just held that up. We're going to misstep the A-Call. And our opponent can force. We're just going to misstep back. Unfortunately, this is starting to put us on a pretty fast clock. So at the moment, we're really hoping to top deck another land, and probably something like Time Walk. So we really wanted to be able to get multiple Time Walks going using the Snapcaster Mage there. I think that was our best chance of actually taking this game away from the Resolved Pyromancer. Instead, we have to run out the Time Vault, which is a little awkward here. Running out the Time Vault leaves us soft to Ancient Grudge, which the Sperling Pyromancer deck has at least 2 of main, and that's assuming that they didn't board any in. I think it'd be wrong to board them in. But then again, maybe if he's worried about losing to, Vault Key, it's just correct. But we have to run out Time Vault here, hope that we top deck Key or some kind of interaction or some kind of draw spell. Sorry, rather than interaction. And that, draws us into the Key. So here, I think the correct play is to, when he attacks, drop the snap in front of the Pyro. But unfortunately, we miss it, so we're just being a bit greedy here and just hoping to Snapcaster into Time Walk, where it's actually just correct to trade and buy ourselves an extra couple of turns. Okay, and what's our opponent got for us? This looks like an Ancient Grudge, I believe, or a Dak Faden. Alright, so Ancient Grudge just loses us the game here. I don't think we can... Yeah, Soul Ring just isn't good enough here. So onto game 3, we now have a chance to fix our sideboard. So you can see we've taken out the cages. We have a sweeper. We have, so we've cut a Jace. Jace gets worse in the face of like creature heavy decks. We brought in our sweeper. We brought in our Mindbreak traps. So how many cards have we got in? 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. So particular note here. We keep in the Tinkerblight Steel package because despite it being bad in front of Dak, it's actually a really good way to just beat a fast Pyromancer draw. A sweeper, obviously, for the Pyro, 2 Mindbreak traps so we can win stack battles, and all we're cutting is the aforementioned Jace, a single Preordain just because it's unfortunately a little bit slow. We like being as close as we can to a Xerox deck, but it's just not good enough in this particular case, and we don't want to run a top deck tutor into a deck that's just mostly interaction. We'd normally like to keep it, but I think in this particular case I think it's the weakest card. So on to game 3, we're now on the play, and we are going to snap keep this. Our opponent's mulled, and I think we're just going to... We should just A-call here. Our opponent's not going to Mindbreak trap us. And it looks like, yeah, he's got the misstep. So that's not great for us there. Did we top deck a snap? I can't remember what we scryed. Oh no, wait, we didn't get to scry. Okay, so our opponent got to A-call and we did not. So we're now looking a little way behind. So I think we actually just have to try to jam Dak here. Normally I do prefer to wait a little. But from where we are now, we just have to drop it out and hope it finds us the cards that we need. We're just going to pitch Blight, Steel, and Misty. We don't need the extra land just at the moment. Dak will hopefully find us plenty more. Top's great. so we want to keep that. Preordain is going to let us keep Xeroxing. And of course we never want to have Blight Steel in hand, or almost never. So we're looking a fair way behind at the moment, unfortunately. At least in some regards. I'm not going to stress over Preordain. Hopefully what that means is he's then going to drop a Mox into a Pyromancer, and we're going to be able to trap it. Alright, so from here, I think we want to DAC into... DAC, probably pitch the Preordain. What do we want to pitch here? I feel like we probably want to pitch the Mox Preordain and play top. So the reason to pitch the Mox is because of we have a land drop to make for turn anyway, and this way we get to play around Ancient Grudge. Library's normally bad news for us, but in this particular case, I think it's DAC tends to trump library. So while our opponent has a lot more cards in hand, he has to keep them in hand to maintain the library. And I think we just get to see more cards. So the moment we can start to build up a little, we're going to be looking real good. Top, we'll take Jace. We're going to have the mana for it. And so this is one of the few reasons one of the few times he should probably Force of Will. Just because Jace is, look, once I've got 2 Planeswalkers in play, the game is very likely close to over. So we'll just get rid of the key and the pearl. We're not terribly concerned about them. So opponent's going to draw up with library, probably try to resolve something disgusting. So our opponent made a little bit of an error there, in that he probably should have drawn with library and then cast Snap, because I think he's just going to Ancestral. And he would have had the mana to do that regardless, so it's a little bit of a punt, unfortunately, on our opponent's behalf. And it's going to leave him off library, and we're going to misstep the A-call. And now if opponent casts anything here, we now have a Mindbreak Trap ready to go. And our Go Next button keeps moving around the screen, which is really helpful. Opponent's going to Ponder. I don't think we're terribly concerned about that. And I feel like he probably should have grabbed another Volk over the Trop, just because if he's running the list that I think he is, then Trop doesn't really contribute a lot beyond being able to just, kill multiple artifacts. We don't have very many artifacts in play right now. I think that's the one thing about Thieves. It's very heavy on artifacts, but it has lots of lines that basically just ignore all your Moxen, or just use them just to get started. It's not terribly all in. So we're going to get to DAC now. We're going to get to pitch Blight, Steel and Crypt. Okay, we're pitching top. I think I would have rather have kept top over crypt normally, but that's fine. Now we're definitely going to put back crypt and emerald. And just hold up a handful of interaction. And we can afford to have like Jace bolted. Nobody's... The only thing that's going to deal with a DAC now is a Reb. And we have interaction for most of this. Our opponent's casting, I'm guessing, Cruise. No, Dig. Okay. So we'll Pyroblast Dig. Our opponent just must be on nothing at the moment. It's possibly correct to misstep Preordain here. And I think we can force the Time Walk. And yeah, our opponent's conceded. So I think our play next turn is drop Notion Thief into play. With or without force backup, we don't care. If he forces it, no worries. We'll just draw a stack of extra cards. If it doesn't, we get to him. But that's game one down.